honestly, speaking from the bottom of my heart, aside from belts and aside from it being him, I'm just ready to fight.
Both of you have said that as well. Both of you said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
But let's wait till the 21st.
Yeah, not in me in the middle.
If he wants to swing, go. Let's go now.
Sharp, relax.
If you want to go now, let's go.
Relax.
If you want to go now,
Got a chair across your face. Don't disrespect.
no, you can't intimidate.
Don't disrespect.
You can't intimidate me.
Don't disrespect.
You can't intimidate me.
Daniel, don't
Who do you
disrespect.
think you are?
Daniel, don't disrespect me. Don't put this don't disrespect me on my life. No, it's okay. I want this little boy. Don't disrespect me, bro.
No.
I know who the this guy thinks.
We'll do it. No. It's good.
Don't take disrespect lightly, Dan.
It's good.
Dan, don't take disrespect lightly, you know.
Alright, so we've just recently had the announcement. Anthony Joshua is fighting Daniel Dubois for the vacant IBF Heavyweight Championship. This would, if AJ win it, put him in elite company as a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. So I just want to break down what we've seen so far. We're going to start with the end of the face-to-face. I'm sure you've all seen the clip by now, but it's getting a lot of people excited for this fight. I just want to talk about each fighter up until this point and maybe what happens should they win, and just sort of give my early thoughts on how this fight could end up going. I'm going to put this out there, massive Anthony Joshua fan, so there might be a little bit of bias, but I'm going to try and keep this as neutral as I can be. So I'm sure you've all seen the face-off. So in terms of Anthony Joshua for that, he gets very angry at it, and normally this leads to some of his best performances. It's reminiscent of when Big Baby Miller was calling him out when he was fighting Otto Wallen, and he's swearing and he's shouting and he's interrupting, and it kind of shows that all that's on his mind is the fight. I want to hurt you, which, like I've said, leads to his best performances, and it a lot of time his most entertaining performances and his most damaging. But what was most interesting to me is he's sort of going for this big brother approach throughout the entire build-up so far against Daniel Dubois. He's calling him a little boy and this and that. And, you know, if you've seen Daniel Dubois, he is massive. And there's very few people, Anthony Joshua being one of them, who can call him a little boy in terms of both size and experience. Anthony Joshua, he's been there, he's done it, he's fought pretty much everyone. The only 3 on his list, really, that he hasn't fought that made sense for him to fight is Dubois, who he's fighting now, Fury and Wilder. And it makes no sense for him to fight Wilder anymore. So, realistically, after this, the only one he got to fight is Fury. But I'll get onto that. But Dubois didn't back down, he stood up to him, which shows he's not scared of him, which is a great sign if you want Dubois to win this fight. He's full of confidence, and I truly believe that he thinks he can win this fight. Whether or not he can is another question. Anthony Joshua is going to be a very tough test. So we're going to start with him. So far, it's all been marketed as Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. That's like AJ first, which I don't like because Dubois is the champion. As much as Joshua is probably the A side in terms of marketing and publicity, and he's probably getting a bigger split, Dubois is the champion. Dubois walks out last. His name goes first. Simple as, that's how boxing works. We're going to start with AJ. And obviously, all his promoter Eddie Hearn's been talking about, he's been a lot more focused on the task at hand. All Eddie Hearn has been talking about is road to undisputed, fighting Tyson Fury, 3rd fight with Alexander Usyk. You hear his coach talking about it a lot, especially I think it was just after the Otto Wallen fight, or it might have been after the Ngannou fight. But he was talking about the 3rd fight with Usyk and how he believes Joshua can win this. I think his road to undisputed is pretty straightforward. He fights Dubois, hopefully wins that. He then fights Fury, who we're pretty much all expecting to have lost a 2nd time to Usyk at this point. And then he fights Usyk for the 3rd time for the undisputed. I think this is the best shot Anthony Joshua has had at becoming undisputed when you look at how good he's looked recently against Wallen, against Ngannou specifically, and hopefully more of the same against Dubois. How poor Fury's looked again against Ngannou, against Usyk, and even really, if you go back to the third Wilder fight, there was a definite decline from the second Wilder fight. But when you look at Fury's performance against Dillian White and Derek Chisora, and then obviously Ngannou and Usyk, he's clearly not at his prime anymore, and it kind of makes you believe that although AJ, I still wouldn't say he's at his prime. I think he's still at a higher level than Fury is currently. Now, obviously, the opponents Anthony Joshua's faced are not on the level, I believe, of Dubois or Fury, obviously. But it's the way he's dealing with them with a lot of ease, really. It's been a hot knife through butter. And you could put that down to poor matchmaking, although I feel like with the Ngannou one, we kind of expected a lot more from Ngannou after we saw what he did against Fury. But the fact remains the same. We can only judge off what we've seen. And then in terms of against Usyk, I think he's probably got his best chance of beating Usyk, but I would still back Usyk to win that fight. As much as I love Anthony Joshua, I would still back Usyk to win that fight, purely because of the two fights went pretty much the same. The only thing that has changed between those fights is Anthony Joshua, really. And has he made up enough ground? Maybe. I think his style of fighting now, with no intention of seeing the final bell whatsoever, I'm just going to do... It's pretty basic what he's doing, but it's perfect practically. And it's with a lot of power and a lot of devastating consequences for his opponent. If Fury loses to Usyk again, which he likely will, in my opinion, AJ's resume will be better than Fury's. When you look at all their common opponents, AJ's knocked them all out. Simple as, except for Usyk, obviously, who they will have both lost to twice. They should fight at that point. Basically, just to establish who's the best of the rest. In my opinion, in AJ's current physical state and mental state, he's got the best chance of becoming undisputed that he has ever had. Now, looking at Daniel Dubois in this fight is very interesting. He's been the underdog in his last two fights, and he ended up stopping both of those opponents. He's very heavy-handed, and he's a confident, young, hungry fighter. He's pretty much AJ when AJ fought like a Klitschko. I don't think AJ's where Klitschko was. I think AJ still got a bit more left in him than Klitschko does. He's the young guy who, I mean, people have been saying for years since he lost to Joe Joyce that he's not on that elite level, and he's proven he is. You don't beat Hrgovic by accident. You don't do that. You can't look your way into that win. The big thing with Dubois, in my opinion, going into this fight, is he takes instructions very well, which is great if you're his corner team, because you'll be telling him exactly what he needs to do, and a lot of times he's able to achieve that. The problem is he does need to be told a lot of things that someone at his level you kind of would expect him to grasp on his own. And we've seen against Otto Wallin and against Francis Ngannou, Anthony Joshua is a master of exploiting mistakes, and he doesn't wait to nick a couple rounds in the beginning or to sort of warm up. He will just go, I see a mistake, I'll throw my heavy right hand, my heavy left hook, and you'll end up on the canvas. And being dropped a couple times by AJ early might be enough to knock Dubois' confidence to the point of he can't win the fight anymore. So for me, the biggest thing will be going into those first few rounds, how well does he hold up and how AJ looks. Because this is the best opponent he's fought since Usyk, and this will be a great test for him, because we've seen how Usyk has dealt with Dubois. Usyk has beaten Dubois, I believe it was finishing the 7th, maybe 8th round. So maybe it's on AJ's mind, I've got to do it better than him. So just an early prediction from me. This is sort of off the top of my head, I haven't thought about it too much, but I believe AJ will win this fight, and I think he'll finish it between maybe 4 and 8. I think he could drop him pretty early, like within the first 4 or 5 rounds. I think Dubois could take a couple rounds off him. He could hurt him. He might even drop him, because he is very heavy-handed. And we've seen AJ get caught a couple times. But ultimately, I do believe that Anthony Joshua will come through with a finish, and then he'll go on to fight Fury, which I also believe he'll win. But I'll do another video on that at some other point. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you do like and subscribe. It helps me a ton. I have an Instagram and a TikTok now where I'm going to be posting clips, trailers, behind the scenes. I'm actually doing a behind the scenes TikTok for this video. That's it from me. Make sure you subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next one.